China is a vast country whose territory exceeds 9 million square kilometers. In it, untouched nature and centuries-old civilization are wonderfully intertwined, and this combination gives rise to a special magic that can deeply touch any person. If the Ural Mountains in Russia seem to draw a line between continents, then the Chinese mountains seem to separate the familiar world of people from a mysterious space full of riddles that are yet to be unraveled. Nature has generously endowed these lands with stunning landscapes, so stunning that they remain in travelers' memories forever. Our journey will open the door to a world of true wonders. They impress not only with their scale but also with their rich cultural subtext. Here, every stone, every river, and every peak is a guardian of ancient legends that stretch back through the millennia. We will begin our journey not with bustling metropolises and high-speed highways, but with a corner where time seems to have stood still. This is Nanchin, Gujun in Jiangsu province, one of the rare ancient cities that have managed to preserve their historical appearance. Almost unchanged, quiet canals meander slowly around the blocks, and their mirror-like surfaces reflect the ancient houses, covered with a delicate layer of green moss. The stone bridges spanning the water resemble thin threads connecting the past and the present. Standing by such a bridge, you can't help but wonder, how many generations have walked these places before you? The cobblestone streets, polished over centuries by thousands of footsteps, lead past houses where the subtle craftsmanship of ancient architects is etched into every brick and every wooden column. The moss-covered walls here are not just part of the architecture, but living pages of history, telling what cannot be expressed in words. According to legends, in ancient times, Nanchin was an important religious center. Solemn rituals were held here, and temples were built in honor of the gods and ancestors. These sanctuaries still stand today. The local residents carefully preserve them as a symbol of an inseparable connection with their roots. The next point on our route is Mount Huashan in Shaanxi province, one of the most dangerous mountains in China. Its height exceeds 2,100 meters, but what captivates tourists is not the figure, but the famous wooden walkway, literally secured to the sheer cliff. The thin planks are the only thing separating a person from an abyss hundreds of meters deep. You can only traverse this route using a safety rope, firmly holding onto an iron chain driven into the rock. The ancient steps, carved into the slope many centuries ago, still serve travelers. Their surface has been polished by millions of feet. In some sections, the trail narrows to just a few dozen centimeters. You have to press yourself against the rock and move with extreme caution. It is precisely this danger that attracts millions of tourists. They come not for the thrill of the risk, but to test themselves and prove that they are capable of overcoming what seems impossible. Tiny hermitages are hidden in the crevices of the sheer slopes, where monks once lived and meditated, detached from the outside world. Looking at these structures, it's hard to believe that people of the past managed to build them in such a hard-to-reach place. From Huashan, our journey leads us to Mount Songshan and the Shaolin Monastery in Hunan province. Songshan is one of the 5 great sacred mountains of China, revered by the people for many centuries. The dense pine forests on the slopes create an atmosphere of majestic tranquility. Here, you can even hear the quiet whisper of the wind in the treetops. But what brought Songshan worldwide fame is the Shaolin Monastery, an ancient Buddhist monastery founded in 495. This is not just a temple, but the cradle of Kung Fu, a martial art that has become one of the most important intangible treasures of world culture. If Brazil has Samba, which has conquered the whole world, then China has Shaolin Kung Fu. It trains not only the body but also the spirit, teaches self-discipline and inner strength, and today the monastery remains a place of pilgrimage. Millions of people come here every year, not only Buddhists, but also fans of martial arts from all continents. Observing how young students hone their movements in the courtyard, one can feel a special energy. It is an echo of 1,500 years of history, work, and dedication. Completing the route through the sacred mountains, we will head to Huashan, a place where nature and spirituality merge into one. When the morning fog envelops these slopes, the landscape becomes almost mystical. It seems as if you have entered another world. Primordial forests, cool and clean, majestic waterfalls cascading from high ledges, crystal-clear streams and mirror-like mountain lakes create a unique landscape that cannot be fully captured either by an artist's brush or by a camera lens. Huashan attracts not only trekking and mountain hiking enthusiasts but also pilgrims. It is an important spiritual center, where ancient temples and monuments preserve the memory of age-old traditions and folk beliefs. On sacred holidays, Thousands of people flock here to take part in rituals dedicated to the spirit of the mountain. The solemnity of these ceremonies is so profound that even those who are far from religion feel something deep and almost inexpressible in words. Another place that stirs the imagination is the Great Buddha in Leshan, Sichuan province. This world's largest stone statue of Buddha reaches a height of 71 meters. The width of the shoulders is 28 meters, the height of the head is 14 meters, and the length of the foot is almost 11 meters. It can easily accommodate 36 people. The history of the statue's creation began in 713, when the monk Haitong decided to carve a giant Buddha Maitreya into the rock. His goal was not to glorify, but to protect people. The place at the confluence of the Min, King, and Dada rivers was considered cursed. Ships often sank there. Haitong spent years collecting donations, and when a local official tried to seize the accumulated funds, the monk, as a sign of determination, gouged out his own eyes to prove that he was ready to sacrifice everything to complete the work. The construction lasted 90 years and outlived 3 imperial dynasties. Haitong himself did not live to see the completion of the work, but his creation has survived to this day. An interesting engineering secret of the statue is an ancient drainage system. Hidden channels run in the ears, behind the head, and in the folds of the garment, protecting the stone from moisture and destruction. Modern experts still marvel at the precision of this solution, which was created more than 1,000 years ago. The landscapes of Zhangjiajie and the Wulingyuan region in Hunan province are no less impressive. Thousands of sandstone pillars, 200 to 300 meters high, rise up from the valleys covered with dense forests, and their tops disappear into the clouds, resembling floating islands. It was these views that inspired James Cameron to create the famous Flying Mountains. In the film Avatar, the Wulingyuan region is included in the UNESCO World Natural Heritage List. Here you will also find the world's longest glass bridge, suspended at a great height. Every step along it is a challenge and at the same time an opportunity to take a fresh look at the world. The Dangxia Mountains in Guangdong province are another amazing corner. Their bright red sandstone cliffs are like pages of a geological record, created over millions of years by winds, rains, and tectonic movements. Ancient temples are hidden in the sheer walls, as if they were originally part of the mountain landscape. The path leading to them is narrow. On one side there's a stone wall, on the other an abyss, and every step here feels like a touch of eternity. On quiet evenings, the wind wandering among the rocks makes sounds that resemble whispers. The locals believe these are the voices of past generations. The picturesque Lanya district in Anhui province is a place for those who want not so much to conquer as to listen and feel. Crystal clear streams flow through forests of ancient trees. Mysterious caves hold millennia-old stalactites, and the main symbol of the region is the Kuiwan Pavilion. It is closely associated with the name of Yang Zhu, an outstanding writer and statesman of the Song era, who served in these lands and wrote the famous essay Notes on the Pavilion of the Old Drunkard. In it, he admitted that his joy did not lie in wine, but in the beauty of nature and the people around him. Sitting in the pavilion and watching the stream flowing through the bamboo grove, it's easy to understand why it was here that he found inner peace and inspiration for his immortal lines. Tengchong in Yunnan province is a land where the earth seems to breathe. There are more than 80 natural hot springs here, born of an active volcanic system. The water temperature in some reaches 96 C, enough to boil an egg right on the surface. The big boiling cauldron is particularly impressive, a geothermal lake where the water churns and steam rises high into the sky, creating the feeling that the earth itself is boiling. Tengchong is also a place where different cultures meet. Here live the Hu Muslims, with their distinctive halo cuisine, the Akan people, famous for their skill in making knives, the Dai, who hold vibrant water-splashing festivals, and the Lisu, whose traditional dances and music still resonate in these lands. The Azhai Bridge and the Da'an Gorge in Hunan province are an example of a bold engineering design. The suspension bridge, 1,177 meters long, spans the gorge at an altitude of 366 meters below. You can see the thin silver thread of the river, and deep in the gorge, the Shukatkai waterfall plunges, its stream resembling a silk fabric woven right in the sky. In the surrounding area, there are representatives of small ethnic groups who have preserved ancient traditions. Their outfits are adorned with hand embroidery, and their festivals are accompanied by the sounds of gongs and traditional dances that have been around for thousands of years. The ancient city of Qingshan in Shandong province is little known to the general public, but for lovers of history and literature, it is a special place. Its ancient cobblestone streets lead to the Jinzhou Temple, a Buddhist shrine dating back to the Yuan dynasty, which has preserved the authentic spirit of that era. But the main value of Qingshan lies in the people who were born on this land. Among them is Leshan, a great poetess whose poems about love and loneliness are still known by heart. Walking along the streets in the evening twilight, you can feel the subtle presence of the past, as if the souls of great people are still hovering among the old stones and tiles. Fenghong Phoenix in Hunan Province is a city where the river seems to carry an endless series of memories. Wooden houses line the Tadian River, stone arched bridges span the clear water, and the cobblestone streets covered with moss lead deep into the atmosphere, where the boundary between centuries is blurred. Early in the morning, when the fog has not yet dispersed, the surface of the river becomes a vast mirror reflecting the sky and the curved silhouettes of the roofs. Even experienced photographers sometimes lower their cameras to simply stand and admire this view. The name of the city is linked to the legend of the phoenix, the symbol of prosperity and peace. According to legend, the sacred bird always returned here when the land needed protection, and its appearance heralded the onset of peaceful and prosperous times. Perhaps that is why Fenghong has been preserved almost intact, as if protected by an invisible force. Wangshan Valley is a place whose name can be translated as contemplation of the immortals. Since ancient times, sages and hermits have chosen it for meditation, believing that here the boundary between the world of humans and the world of celestial beings is particularly thin. Limestone mountains surround the valley with smooth curves, resembling the folds of a silk fabric, and crystal-clear streams murmur quietly among the rocks. In the morning, a thin veil of fog envelops the gazebos, pavilions, and winding paths, dissolving them in a haze as if in a watercolor drawing. Each season paints the valley in a new way. In spring, the cliffs are covered with thousands of wildflowers, and in autumn, yellow and scarlet leaves float along the stream, like letters from the past addressed to future generations. Today, Wangshan is a popular destination for spiritual and ecotourism. People come here not to conquer peaks, but to find inner peace and restore the balance that is so lacking in the modern pace of life. Our journey continues to Mount Emei in Sichuan Province, one of China's four sacred Buddhist mountains. Its peak rises above 3,300 meters and is almost always shrouded in a light haze, giving it an otherworldly appearance. Winding trails meander through dense, pristine forests inhabited by unique plant and animal species found nowhere else. White foaming waterfalls tumble from the cliffs, and their noise blends with the silence of the old forest into a special melody, accessible only to those who know how to listen. The heart of the mountain is the Golden Peak, the most revered place on Mount Emei. From there, you can see the boundless sea of clouds, and through the fog, the silhouettes of ancient temples emerge, resembling small islands in a cloudy ocean. It is here that the boundary between the earthly and the sacred is felt particularly acutely. It is no wonder that monks chose these places for seclusion. Next, our route leads to Fanjingshan Mountain in Guizhou Province, another shrine included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. The mountain's height exceeds 2,500 meters, but its main value lies in its spiritual and natural uniqueness. According to legend, it was here that the Buddha Maitreya attained enlightenment, and this tale has become an important part of the local culture. Fanjingshan is not only a religious center but also a refuge for rare animals. Its slopes are home to the Guizhou snub-nosed monkey, one of the rarest primates in the world, found only in these areas. It was precisely the combination of spiritual significance and exceptional natural value that led UNESCO to recognize Fanjingshan as a World Heritage Site. If Emei and Fanjingshan offer peace and a sense of enlightenment, then the next peak will offer a completely different experience. It is a serious challenge, before which even the most courageous travelers stop to think carefully.